Hello everybody, welcome to our e-learning sessions for prep. Our lesson for today is future. Now what is the simple future? Let's see in slide number 1. The simple future is the verb tense that used to talk about something that haven't happened yet, but it will happen. Okay, for example, this year, Jen will read War and Peace. Jen will read War and Peace means she is going to read it. This is future. It's not happened yet. It will be hard, but she is determined to do it. So the simple future is to talk about an action or condition that will begin and end in the future. That will begin and end in the future. Okay, in slide number 3, the future simple tense. Now this is future will. We have future simple tense, have two kinds, will and going to. We'll start with will. The form of the future simple tense will is, for the positive part, will plus the infinitive. That means, for example, as you see in the slide, Ali will come tomorrow. That means in the future, that he's not talking about this day or about yesterday. He's talking about the future. Okay, for the negative, what's the negative of will? Exactly, will not or won't. So this will be Ali won't come tomorrow. That means he will not come tomorrow. And there's another example here. They won't play tonight. Okay, for the interrogative or the question, we have two kinds of questions, as you know. We have the yes-no question and the WH question word. Now, for the yes-no question, we will have will. We start with will, and then the subject, and then the verb in the infinitive. And for the yes-no question, the answer will be yes, yes he will, or yes they will, or no they won't. As in the example here, will they arrive soon? Now the answer will be yes they will or no they won't. For the WH question word, I use the WH word and then will and then the subject and then the verb in infinitive also. As you see here in the example, what time will you go to the club? Okay. In the next slide, here are the usage of will. The future will is used to. Number 1, to make prediction about the future, but this prediction is without evidence. And we usually use the words like perhaps, probably, or maybe I will use after the verb believe, or think, or hope, or expect, or be sure. These are the words that indicate that something will happen in the future, but I'm not sure of it. I'm not sure that it will happen. Okay, for example, Mona will probably go to the party. That means Mona may go or she will not go. We are not sure. Or I think life will be more comfortable in the future. Are you sure that life will be more comfortable in the future? No, I'm not sure. خلاص? I think. Okay. The second usage is to make spontaneous decision. What is spontaneous decision? It's a sudden decision. It's hot. I will open the window. I'm hungry. I will look for something to eat. This is a sudden decision. Okay. Also, one of the usage is for promises. Don't worry, I'll help you. Now I promise. Am I sure that he will keep the promise? I'm not sure. So maybe he will say the truth and keep the promise, and maybe not. I can say, I'll keep the secret. Am I sure that I'll keep the secret? I'm not sure. In the next slide, now I use for the offers and requests. For how can I do that? I can say, will I bring you something to eat? Or, for example, will you carry this bag for me? Now this is request. Will you carry this bag for me is a request. And the first one will bring you something to eat. It's an offer. Will I bring you something to eat? Will I get you something to drink? Also, I use the helping verb will with the threats and warnings. I can say one more mistake and I'll punish you. This is also usage of will. Now, the next slide, the other part of the future simple, which is be going to. Now, the form is, for the positive, I use am or is or are, which is verb to be, plus going to, plus also the verb in stem. I can say, I'm going to travel tomorrow. Now, I use this for near future. I'm going to travel tomorrow. What about the negative form? The negative form is am or is or are plus not plus going to plus verb also infinitive. For example, he is not going to play football today, or I'm not going to travel tomorrow. The last thing here is the interrogative, the question. I have two kinds of questions, as I said before, the yes-no question and the WH question. Starting with the yes-no question, I use am or is or are at the beginning, and then the subject, the one who did the action, and then going to, and then the infinitive of the verb. As for the example here, are you going to prepare the dinner? So this is the question. What about the answer? The answer will be with yes or no. I can say yes, I'm going to prepare it, or no, I'm not going to prepare it, or no, I'm not going to. Okay, for the WH question word, I use WH word and then am or is or are, and then the subject, and then going to plus verb plus infinitive. For example, what are you going to do tonight? I'm going to play with PlayStation, for example. I'm going to go to the club. Okay? Next slide is about future be going to is used, the usage of this. I use the going to, future going to talk about future plans for something that I'm doing preparation for it. I can say Amr is going to move to a new house. So the moving needs preparation. Okay, so this future plans, something we are preparing for. Amr is going to study at Cairo University. That means he finished his school and he get his paper to the Cairo University. There are some preparations, plans. Also, I can say they are going to move to a city when they graduate. Also, to make prediction based on evidence. Now, in the will, we have to make prediction, but without evidence. But in going to, we are making prediction based on evidence. For example, watch that runner, he is going to win the race. Now there is evidence, he is very fast, he is the first one in the line, in the race. For example, it's cloudy, it's going to rain. Now this is evidence, I can see the clouds full of rain. Okay? Also for intentions, what are intentions? Dad is going to buy a new car, that means needs. Okay, now dad got the money and he will go to buy it maybe tonight or today or tomorrow. So that means it's near future, the intention of the near future. Dad is going to buy a new car. The next slide, for the time expressions, the key words. Now I use for this tomorrow, tonight, next month, next year, next week, next Monday, next Tuesday, and so on. The word next. This month, this year, this week, this day, okay? This Sunday, in an hour, in a week, in a month, and also soon, in the future. Keep in your mind that we use the present simple for future actions related to official timetable or maybe programs. Like, for example, the plane arrives at 7 tomorrow. Or maybe I can say the train arrives at 9 o'clock. This is for schedule. The session starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Okay, so this is for timetable, official timetable or program. I use present simple. We use the present progressive for planned future action. Planned. For example, and also, personal arrangements. I'm traveling to London next week because this is personal arrangement. I'm traveling to London next week. The second slide, next slide, number 2 for the future. I have the future progressive tense. Now the for me, because it's progressive, that means I will use the ing. Let's see the form together. For the positive, for the affirmative form, I use subject and then will be and then the verb plus ing. Subject, will be, verb ing. For example, I'll be working at 8 tonight. I'll be working. For the negative form, I use subject, won't be, plus verb ing. That means she won't be cleaning when we arrive. Okay. For the interrogative, the question, I use for the yes-no question, will plus subject plus be plus verb ing. For example, will you be working tonight? Will you be working tonight? For the WH question word, I use WH word and then will and then the subject and then be plus verb ing. What will you be doing tonight? What will you be having in the party? Okay? The next slide, for the future progressive, the usage of the future progressive is to talk about actions that will be in progress at a specific certain time in the future. Again, at a specific certain time in the future. Now, when I mention the time, that means it's progressive. I'll be eating dinner at 6 o'clock tonight. Because I'm saying at 6 o'clock tonight, that means future progressive. I'll be flying to London at 9 tomorrow. I'll be flying to London. Because I said 9, this is progressive. I mentioned the time. I'll be waiting for you when your bus arrives. Now, after, when, I use, this is the certain time. When your bus arrives, this means the certain time. Okay, when you go home, it's a certain time because I mean the time that you arrive, the time that the bus arrives, the time that you get home. This is certain time. Okay, the tense of after when must be present simple. As you see here, your bus arrives because I use after when the verb present simple. In the next slide, I have another kind of future. It's future perfect simple tense. What's this future perfect simple tense? Let's see. For the form of the affirmative, I use subject plus will have plus past participle. Again, subject plus will have plus past participle. I'll have finished my work before you come. I will have finished my work before you come. For the negative form, I use subject and the word won't have and the verb in the PP. They won't have finished by the time we arrive. They won't have finished. Subject, won't, they will not, have plus PP. Okay, what about the interrogative? For the yes, no, I use will plus subject plus the PP. Will you have written the lesson by 9 o'clock? For the WH question, I use WH word plus will plus the subject plus have plus PP. What will you have done by the time we arrive? Let's see the usage of the future perfect simple tense. Because I said perfect, I use the PP, okay? To talk about actions that will be completed before specific time or before another action in the future. Again, I use the future perfect simple tense when I'm talking about action which will be completed before certain time in the future or before another action in the future. For example, she will have returned by the time you leave. By the time, after by the time, I put present simple. Okay, before we come, they will have cleaned the house. Will have cleaned. Will plus have plus the PP of the verb. Okay, and keep in your mind that for the time expressions, by I put a point in time. By the time. By the time, by then, or before. And after before and after by the time, I use the present simple of the verb. Okay? Let's see in the next slide. This is the last one here, the future perfect progressive. Future perfect progressive. It's a mix between the perfect and the progressive. Let's see. For the form here, it's very easy. For subject plus will have been plus the verb ing. Will have been. Let's see for the example. I'll have been working for 7 hours by midnight. That means when the time reaches midnight, I will have been working for 7 hours. Let's see, the future perfect progressive is used to show the duration up to a certain point of time. That means from the time I start the action till the time I stop it. The action may continue further than this point. By midnight, we will have been flying for 7 hours. That means when the clock reached 12 o'clock, that means we are flying from before this time 7 hours. From 5, I think, yes, from 5. Okay, by 12 o'clock, Ahmed will have been sleeping for 10 hours. That means Ahmed is sleeping, and when it will reach 12 o'clock, he will be sleeping for 10 hours. The next slide, time clauses. Time clauses are introduced with as soon as, or when, or after, or before, or until, or as, or while. All these are time expressions for the present perfect progressive tense. We never use future form in time clauses. For example, when I see Ahmed, this is time clause. When I see Ahmed, it's present simple. I invite him to the party. I will watch TV as soon as I finish my homework. I finish my homework is the time clause. It's also present simple. Okay? Let's see. In the next slide here we have some exercises. Choose the correct answer and tell me why you choose this answer. Now, meet with a match, please. Will you take, or do you take, or are you taking, or are you going to take? Are you taking? Exactly. Okay, look out. A car. A car may hit you because it's not hitting him yet. Number 3, this time tomorrow evening we up to Paris. We Okay, sorry. Let's start the exercise one more time because there was something wrong. Let's start the exercise one more time. Number 1, meet with a match, please. Because this is request, I will use will you take me. Will you take me to the match, please? Okay, look out. Number 2, look out. A car is going to hit you. Because I have look out, that means progressive. In number 3, this time tomorrow evening we will be driving to Paris. Will be driving. Number 4, as soon as enough money, I'll lend her some. As soon as, I said after as soon as, I have the verb in stem. I have the present simple. And because it's I use the verb in stem. As soon as I have enough money, I lend her some. Number 5, I'm sorry, but I promise exactly, I will, because the word promise. I'm sorry, but I promise I will buy you a present tomorrow. Number 6, the last one here. Don't worry, dear. Everything in no time. I will finish. Exactly, will fix. Don't worry, dear, I will fix everything in no time. Okay, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the session and thanks a lot for your time. See you soon.